All right, so you're getting ready for a distribution center dispatcher interview, which means you're diving into the world of logistics. We've got some really helpful resources from RoleCatcher today. Career guides, interview guides, you name it, all to help you prepare and really stand out in that interview. Today's deep dive, getting you ready to impress those interviewers and land that job.
What I think is fascinating is how RoleCatcher uses AI to analyze those sometimes tricky job descriptions and helps tailor your responses. It's really a secret weapon for interview success.
Okay, so let's unpack this. First things first. What exactly does a distribution center dispatcher do all day? It's more than just shipping stuff. Right.
I got it. Think of it like this constant flow puzzle. You're optimizing routes, making sure the documentation is all squared away, ensuring those deliveries happen on time. But
Yeah.
it's not all smooth sailing. Things can and do go wrong, and that's where your problem-solving skills really come in. You're also the central hub, managing relationships with everyone from drivers to customs officials.
Wow, that's a lot to juggle. It sounds like you need to be super organized and a master communicator. So how do I show these interviewers I'm up for the challenge?
That's where those interview questions come in. RoleCatcher has actually put together a list of the top 10 you're likely to face. Let's tackle the first one. Describe your experience with logistics and supply chain management. The key here is to showcase specific examples.
Even if I don't have years of experience working in a warehouse.
Exactly. Think back to internships, relevant coursework, even personal projects. Did you coordinate volunteers for a big event? Manage a complex trip with multiple moving parts? All of those demonstrate you understand logistics, even if it's outside of a traditional work setting. And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can actually give you feedback on your examples and help you tailor them to the specific job.
That's really cool. Okay, so I've nailed that first question. What's next?
Well, you're likely to hear this one. How do you prioritize tasks when there are multiple orders to fulfill? This is your chance to highlight those organizational skills and problem-solving skills that we talked about.
So I should mention frameworks like the urgency importance matrix.
Absolutely. But don't just name drop it. You need to explain briefly how it helps you prioritize. For instance, you could say, I use the urgency importance matrix to quickly assess which tasks need immediate attention versus those that can be scheduled for later. The interviewer wants to see you can apply it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I bet a real-world example would probably help drive the point home, too.
Right.
Like that time I had to organize a fundraiser with tight deadlines and limited resources.
Perfect. That shows you can handle pressure and prioritize effectively. Now let's say they ask, how do you ensure the accuracy of delivery information and documentation? Accuracy is essential in this role.
So I'm guessing attention to detail is key here.
Absolutely. Walk them through your process for double-checking information, any systems you use, and how you ensure things like bills of lading are accurate. A bill of lading, by the way, is a legal document that outlines the details of a shipment. Mentioning relevant software here can also be a plus.
Okay, got it. So far, so good. But what about those unexpected situations? Every dispatcher dreads those.
Yes. Question 4 is all about that. How do you handle unexpected delays or issues with deliveries? This is where you really showcase those proactive problem-solving skills.
I imagine clear communication is crucial here.
It is. Outline your process. How do you identify the issue? Who do you communicate with? What steps do you take to find solutions? Remember, stay calm under pressure and demonstrate that solution-oriented mindset.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. They really want someone who can think on their feet and handle those curveballs.
Exactly. And speaking of thinking on your feet, question 5 often throws people off. What is your experience with routing and optimization software? Be honest about your experience level, but emphasize your willingness to learn new systems quickly.
RoleCatcher mentions some popular routing software options in their career guide, like Optimer Route and Route for Me. Is it helpful to mention those, even if I haven't used them directly?
It can be, especially if you highlight how your existing skills would transfer. For instance, you could say, well, I'm not yet familiar with Route for Me. I have used similar route optimization tools, and I'm a fast learner.
So I should demonstrate that I'm comfortable with technology and eager to adapt.
Exactly. And now let's shift gears a bit. Question 6. How do you ensure compliance with safety regulations and protocols? Remember, safety is paramount in this role.
Of course. I'll highlight my understanding of regulations and my commitment to enforcing them. Should I mention any relevant training or certifications I have?
Absolutely. And don't just state the facts. Go a step further and explain how you've applied those in previous roles. For example, you could say, in my previous role, I was responsible for training new hires on safety protocols and conducting regular safety checks. I'm committed to creating a culture of safety.
That sounds much more impactful. So we've covered experience, problem solving, tech skills, and safety. What else do they want to know?
Well, a big part of this job is working with people. Question 7 digs into that. How do you manage relationships with drivers and other stakeholders? This is where you showcase your communication and interpersonal skills.
I'm guessing they're looking for someone who can build rapport and understand different perspectives.
You got it. Emphasize your ability to build trust, communicate effectively, and navigate potentially challenging conversations. Think about a time you had to mediate a conflict or find common ground with someone who had a different viewpoint.
I remember this one situation where a driver was frustrated about a delayed shipment. I listened to their concerns, explained the situation calmly, and worked with them to find a solution.
That's a great example. It demonstrates your ability to handle difficult situations with diplomacy. And keep in mind, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze the specific job description and suggest ways to tailor your response to highlight the interpersonal skills that particular employer values.
That level of personalization is incredible. Okay, we're on a roll. What's next?
Question 8. How do you stay up to date on industry trends and developments? This is your chance to show that you're genuinely interested in logistics and committed to continuous learning.
So mentioning industry publications, associations, or online resources is a good idea.
Absolutely. You want to demonstrate that you're proactive about staying informed. Do you follow any logistics blogs? Are you a member of any professional organizations?
I subscribe to a couple of industry newsletters, and I recently attended a webinar on the latest advancements in warehouse automation.
Perfect. Those are great examples. Now, question 9 might not apply to every dispatcher role, but it's important to be prepared. How do you manage and motivate a team of dispatchers?
The leadership question. If it comes up, I should highlight my management style and how I create a positive work environment.
Precisely. Focus on empathy, clear communication, and empowering your team. Did you ever mentor a colleague or lead a training initiative?
I once helped train a new dispatcher on our software system. It was rewarding to see them gain confidence and become a valuable member of the team.
That's a great anecdote. It shows you're willing to share your knowledge and help others succeed. And finally, the 10th question. How do you balance the needs of multiple stakeholders, such as customers, drivers, and supervisors? Think of this as a juggling act.
Diplomacy and negotiation skills seem crucial here.
They are. Describe your process for prioritizing, communicating, and finding win-win solutions. Remember, it's all about understanding the different perspectives and working collaboratively to achieve the best outcome.
It sounds like a lot of pressure.
It can be. But remember, you've got this. We've covered the top 10 interview questions, and RoleCatcher's AI can be your secret weapon throughout the preparation process.
This deep dive has already been super helpful. I feel much more confident now knowing what to expect. But what happens after I land the job? Is being a dispatcher a dead end? Or are there opportunities for growth?
That's a great question, and that's exactly what we'll explore in the next part of our deep dive.
I'm ready to hear about those career paths.
Stay tuned. It gets really interesting. Welcome back. We just finished breaking down those top 10 interview questions for distribution center dispatchers, feeling prepped and ready to impress.
Definitely feeling more confident now, but before I run off to update my CV and practice my answers, I'm curious, where does this role fit into the bigger picture of a logistics career?
That's a smart question to be asking. You're right. This isn't just about getting the job. It's about understanding where it can lead you. And RoleCatcher's Career Guide actually outlines some pretty exciting potential career paths for dispatchers.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more about those possibilities.
Let's start with logistics manager. This role takes on a much more strategic view of the entire supply chain, from acquiring goods all the way to final delivery. They design and implement the systems that keep everything flowing smoothly and efficiently, and they're responsible for making sure those operations stay cost-effective.
So if a dispatcher is like the conductor of the orchestra, the logistics manager is composing the entire symphony.
That's a great way to put it. They need those strong analytical and problem-solving skills you've been honing as a dispatcher, but also strong leadership qualities. A natural next step for someone who thrives in a fast-paced, dynamic environment.
That sounds like a great goal to work towards. What other paths did RoleCatcher mention?
One that might pique your interest, given your affinity for data and systems, is supply chain analyst.
I've always been fascinated by data and how it can be used to improve efficiency.
Then this could be a great fit for you. Supply chain analysts are like detectives. They dig deep into the data, looking for patterns, trends, and insights that can help optimize the entire supply chain, They're the ones identifying bottlenecks and inefficiencies and
Hmm.
opportunities for improvement.
I bet they spend a lot of time with spreadsheets and data visualization tools.
Absolutely. They need a strong understanding of data analysis techniques and software. They also need to be able to communicate their findings clearly and persuasively to stakeholders.
So how do I start preparing for a potential move into that kind of analytical role while I'm working as a dispatcher?
There are a few things you can do right now. First, continue to develop your data analysis skills. There are tons of online courses and resources available that can help you learn the basics of data analysis, even if you're a complete beginner.
Are there any specific software programs that are particularly useful in supply chain analysis?
Definitely Excel is a must-have, of course, and you'll want to familiarize yourself with data visualization tools like Tableau or Power BI. Those are all skills you can start building today. And when you combine that with your hands-on experience as a dispatcher, you'll be a very competitive candidate.
That's great advice. So logistics manager, supply chain analyst. What other options are out there?
Well, if you're particularly interested in the transportation side of things, a transportation planner role might be a good fit. They develop transportation strategies, optimize routes, negotiate with carriers, and are all about getting those shipments from point A to point B in the most efficient and cost-effective way possible.
That sounds like a role that requires a lot of forward thinking and strategic planning.
Exactly. They need a deep understanding of transportation networks, regulations, and costs. Plus, with the rise of new technologies like autonomous vehicles and drone delivery, this field is constantly evolving. If you're someone who enjoys staying ahead of the curve, this could be a very exciting path.
It definitely sounds intriguing. Are there any roles that focus more on the day-to-day operations of a distribution center?
Absolutely. An operations manager in a logistics setting is responsible for making sure everything runs smoothly on a daily basis. They oversee warehouse operations, inventory management, and staff supervision. If you enjoy leading teams solving problems on the fly and making sure all the gears are turning in sync, this could be the perfect fit for you.
That's fascinating. I hadn't really considered that side of things.
And one more path that you might not immediately think of is sales or marketing manager. Even logistics companies need strong sales and marketing teams to attract new customers, build relationships, and promote their services.
That's true. I hadn't thought about it from that perspective. But it makes sense that they would need people who understand both the logistics industry and the art of sales and marketing.
Exactly. A sales or marketing manager with a background in logistics would be able to speak the language of their customers, understand their needs, and tailor their strategies accordingly. They'd be a valuable asset to any logistics company.
Wow. I'm really impressed with the range of career paths available. It's inspiring to know that starting as a dispatcher can open so many doors.
It really can, and the best part is you can start preparing for these future roles right now. As we talked about earlier, you can begin developing those data analysis skills for a future in supply chain analytics, or focus on building your leadership qualities if you're aiming for a management role. The key is to be proactive and keep learning.
So while I'm focusing on acing that dispatcher interview, I should also keep these potential career paths in mind and start strategically honing the skills that will set me up for future success.
Exactly, and don't forget, RoleCatcher can be a valuable resource throughout your entire career journey.
Speaking of RoleCatcher, I know we touched on their AI earlier, but I'm still a bit fuzzy on how exactly it works
Yeah,
and how it can help me land that dispatcher job. Can we dive into that a little deeper?
absolutely. Let's demystify the magic of RoleCatcher's AI in the next part of our deep dive.
I'm ready to unlock those AI secrets. All right, we've covered a ton of ground, from those top 10 interview questions to potential career paths for dispatchers. Now, I'm really curious about this AI you keep mentioning. How can RoleCatcher's AI actually help me in my job search?
It's pretty impressive stuff. Imagine having a personal career coach in your pocket, guiding you every step of the way. That's essentially what RoleCatcher's AI does.
Okay, that sounds amazing, but how does it actually work?
Well, it all starts with the job description. You know how sometimes those descriptions can be super long and filled with jargon? Well, RoleCatcher's AI can actually analyze those descriptions and pull out the key skills and qualifications that the employer is really looking for.
So it cuts through all the noise and highlights what's most important.
Exactly. And then it uses that information to help you tailor your CV, your cover letter, and even your interview answers to match those specific requirements. Think of it like a personalized cheat sheet for each job you apply for.
That would save me so much time and effort. Instead of sending out generic applications, I can really target my materials to each specific role.
Exactly. And it gets even better. RoleCatcher's AI can also suggest specific keywords and phrases to use in your application materials. You know how companies use those applicant tracking systems? ATS, to filter applications.
Ugh, yes. It feels like those systems sometimes screen out perfectly qualified candidates.
You're right, those ATS can be a bit of a black box, but RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you get past those systems by suggesting the language that those systems are looking for. It increases your chances of getting noticed by a real human.
That's incredible. It's like having a secret weapon to navigate those automated systems.
Yeah.
So beyond helping me tailor my application materials, can RoleCatcher's AI help me prepare for the actual interview?
Absolutely. Remember those sample interview questions we talked about? RoleCatcher's AI can actually analyze your practice responses and provide you with personalized feedback.
So it's not just giving me generic tips, it's actually evaluating my specific answers.
Exactly. It can identify areas where you might need to strengthen your response, provide suggestions for alternative phrasing, and even offer examples of how other successful candidates have answered similar questions.
Wow, that takes interview prep to a whole new level. It's like having a virtual mock interview with an expert.
That's a great way to put it. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI is constantly learning and evolving. The more people use it, the smarter it gets. It's truly transforming the job search process.
This has been an incredible deep dive. I feel so much more prepared and confident about my upcoming dispatcher interview.
I'm glad to hear it. Remember, go in there showcasing those organizational skills, problem-solving abilities, and your passion for logistics. And don't forget about RoleCatcher. They're a fantastic resource at every stage of your career journey.
Thanks for all the insights. I'm excited to put everything we've discussed into action.
Best of luck. And remember, the future of logistics is bright, and you're well on your way to a successful career in this dynamic field.